Painting goo 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 goo. Painting goo 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 goo. Oh. Painting goo goo goo. It's painting fucking goo. Painting goo. It's painting goo. What will we go? Oh. What do we do? What do we go? Oh. Painting goo, goo goo goo, goo 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 goo. Painting goo, goo 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 goo. Painting goo, goo 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 goo. Staburo-sama, you better get your seppuku tantos ready. Your lack of faith in the goo is disturbing goo. Painting goo. Painting goo. Painting goo. Right, if any of you filthy mortars have any honor, you will pay the monkey! Because I do not. Oh! Sumimasen! Sumimasen! I was running a bit rate. I had an overwhelming urge to have a lie down before the goo commenced. It would appear that one of the main side effects of foregoing smokage has left me with a slightly fluctuating levels of energy. I disagree. I was in the goo chat whilst everyone was being lazy. Oh, look at you, special Canadian boy. Ooh. I was in the chat too whilst everyone else was being lazy. Right? That's it. It is official. Canada is the gayest place in the realm. And Staburo-sama is beginning to think he's a special boy. A baldy special boy. Now please excuse me whilst I descend into proper pettingu posture. Another day, another stiff stool. Rife, it seems, is just slow. There we go. Right. No. The Canadian has a point. I was running a bit rate. I am slightly disorganized. Despite my jesting and jousting, I am indeed a bit late. I mean, I'm on time, but I was 15 minutes before the goo frowed. I was lying down and drifting in and out of the waking world. I had intense dreams last night. Intense. I woke up at around 6, and then I woke up at 8, and then I woke up at 10. A disturbed, broken sleep I had, but let me tell you something. Let me tell you something. It has been a long time since I experienced such intense dreamage. Whew. Intense dreamage. I can remember almost everything, which is rare as fuck. And when I finally awoke, around 10ish, I had a noticeable increase in energy, which is good. I do believe, despite the seemingly, not even troublesome, just seemingly, I have a lingering tingle of anxiety and grief in my chest. It is said that you hold grief in your lungs. But I don't know. There's like many things. Odd sensations. Perhaps it is just my lungs getting ready to expel over a decade's worth of phlegm or some shit. But I have a nervousness about me. But it is to be expected. I am san nicotine and caffeine. Was it 2 or 3 weeks off caffeine now? And now almost we're getting to nearly a week without nicotine. Oh, that's a glorious cup of Java. I mean, tea. Is tea Java? I do not know. It's a gold blend with some honey and some locally sourced milk, which contains far more vitamins and, well, allegedly, the local milk has far less of the preservatives in it, which makes sense, because it does not have to travel across the island for many days and then be refrigerated and such. It is not raw, unfortunately, but it's as close as I can get to the real thing. And it is indeed delicious. I quite often indulge in a pint of milk and just down that bitch. Ugh, like a Nazi German would with an MG42, a American soldier in Omaha Beach. I just like doom 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 doom. Oh fuck. Yes. My chest is tense. There's a tension deep within my being, and a nervousness that I am contending with the past few days. I'm assuming it is simply a consequence of removing nicotine from my life. So, we shall see how that subsides or remains over the coming days and weeks. Perhaps I need some sound therapy, but we shall find out. So who has honor this day, apart from Staburu-sama? Tuekeru-sama, Margio-sama, Griffu-sama, Emmanuel Godsulu, and Desmondu. Excellent. The usual suspectu. Staburu let the rast PEINTEINGU to his bald cranium. Siri sticky-fingered Sapu Sakaru. Indeed, it would appear the Maple Monkey has a twinge of pride now, because he has a personal PEINTEINGU presence. It was to be expected. One cannot expect you mere filthy mortals to contend with such profound acknowledgement. Perhaps I was mistaken to include him in the PEINTEINGU. Have I ruined him? Have I granted him too much honor? We shall see in the coming days. I hope to see many a new scar on your belly as a result of seppuku. Only that shall subside your pride, my friend. Right. We return to Hungary, otherwise known as Hungary. And I have a sink. Another sink. There has been many sinks since I decided to kick the smoking, it appears. It would appear that the divines are smiling upon me the past few days. So I was watching one of my favorite forms of entertainment, which is watching Kira's attempt to lie to law enforcement in those interview rooms post-Kiring. It was a man in his mid-20s who had brutally murdered his mother for various reasons. But he was from Hungary. His mother was Hungarian, and she was a prison nurse, and she was found brutally murdered in her home. And it turned out that it was her son who lived a couple of states over, and he had attempted to buy a burner phone and dodge certain forms of tracking in order to sumimasen. Apple. He attempted to dodge various forms of recording. In vain, obviously. Cell phone towers are tricky bitches to avoid. Part of me was like, why did you bother buying a burner phone and then still taking your own personal phone with you? Most people who decide to do murdering are quite retarded, it seems. But yes, it was funny to me as I was watching it, and I was like, no way, we are currently in Hungary, and now I'm watching a video about some Hungarian little faggot who decided to end his mama. Hilarious. So it was a mild sink, but a sink no less. I was still in bed with my morning cup of tea, watching with the PEINTEINGU to my right beside the bed, and I was like, no way. But anyway, we returned to Hungary, which is very proud of this particular feathered bird, apparently. A turur, it is allegedly called. Turur. Turur. I greatly appreciate the gif, Desmondu-sama, of a 8-bit Vader choking an 8-bit stormtrooper. His skinny little legs dangling are hilarious. You shall know in the future, Staburo-sama, that just because you hear nothing in the village does not mean that the goo shall not flow. I have told you time and time again, check YouTube! I always, if I am doing the goo, I schedule it. Even if it is late, I schedule it on YouTube. So you must simply check YouTube, and if it's scheduled, then the goo shall flow. Unless something, extenuating circumstances and all that jazz. Oh, right. So, it's a Friday. Another complete reek of goo, I believe. So, I am satisfied with this. It would appear that after many a month of an extended holiday and my inability to maintain a routine, I have not only cold turkeyed the fuck out of my nicotine addiction, at least for the moment. Divines bless me in the future. Touch wood. But I have also managed to maintain a consistent goofro. So, a good old pat on the back for the ginger monkey. No, not you, Myro. You're more of a burnt sienna. Ah, Prunur-sama, welcome to PEINTEINGU. Are you aware? It is crowdy and grey and intermittent rain. We had hair! We had a hair earlier on. Not just rain. Fucking hair. It's cold. It is cold and grey and godless this day. Well, I suppose that's a lie. I do see the sun right now. It would appear the glorious light of heaven is shining a bit on PEINTEINGU today. Okay. Right. I'm feeling fiery today. I need tunes to express such framage. But not in a gay way. Well, it's nearly the end of March, and this one has March in it. Let's see what this sounds like.
Hi, I'm Joe Delaney. Today we're going to talk about what—
Fuck you, Delaney! I did not ask you how you are, and I did not request your bulky presence on my screen. The weather is actually okay here today. Crushing onwards, glorious. I am jealous. I am jealous. It's fucking wet and grey here today. What is this shit? That sounds shit. I'm gonna get rid of that one. There are so many things on the PEINTEINGU playlist that I have not thoroughly investigated. That is one of them. That that shall be removed post haste. It was hard techno, so I gave it a go. Right. Let me see. Where's my tunes? For some reason that brought me out of my tune library. Why do such a thing to me? Do you know what? In honor of Tuekaru's return, despite his absence currently in the chatu, I believe this is in order. Let us begin. Ravingu! Right. As I sip my sip. I cleanse your chi with a ding of my tiny dong. Another day, another dose of rickets for poor Tobias Ficus Croas. I miss this playlist. It's glorious. I must ensure to watch many a film this weekend. Oh! Sumimasen! Sumimasen! Oof. Okay. It was my plan last weekend to indulge myself in some films. Some 80s, some old school, and some shit I'd never heard of before. Dorf Rundren! In a film called... Shit, I cannot remember. Anyway, I believe Stabaru-sama hasn't put it on Prex for me, so we shall see. I haven't just sat down and watched a good movie in a few weeks, I believe. I tend to just strap on YouTube and fall asleep. Anyway, let's get some goo on this parrot and get the bitches wet as we engage PEINTEINGU. Some white. We are using the gouache. I am not satisfied with the vagueness of this PEINTEINGU. I'm going to redo the background. I'm going to detail the bridge, perhaps put some vehicles in. And then I'm going to definitely redo this Turur's beak. It's fucking disgusting looking. This abomination insults my eyes. If you have not done so already, then a row. Oh, God. Why is the brack always farting on the parrot? Disgusting. These people have no shame. May I suggest allowing our brother Garos to remind you to like and subscribe to PEINTEINGU! Smash that like button like it has insulted your ancestors! Or I shall fling my giant tiger at you! I shall remove his bucket and sunglasses, unleashing his X-ray vision, so he can see how you are honorous. He can see your rack of honor, your rack of spina. It shall be painful and violent. Won't it, Myro? Yes, it will. Nobody wants a tiger flung in their direction. It's bad for your heart. So smash that like button like it has insulted your ancestors. And remember to like and subscribe to PEINTEINGU. And share a PEINTEINGU with many other filthy mortals who may find it entertaining and enlightening. And even if they don't, fling it at their face! Especially if they lack honor. Remember, sharing is caring. Ugh. Painting goo goo. Painting goo goo. Ooh goo 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 goo. Goo 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 goo. Ah, somebody has a paid for PEINTEINGU! Somebody has honor this day. Who has honor this day? Ah, Prunoru-sama! You honor us with your patronage to PEINTEINGU. Happy Friday, Paint! Glorious! May the divines bless you, Prunoru-sama, for your contribution to the goo. Right. Where are my bitches? Let's get them wet. Look at the way Microphone looks at the bitches. Despicable. I should have him frogged. Dissa one. Painting goo goo. Right, I must make an ochre. Actually, I'm going to cheat. I'm going to just use yarrow ochre, so I do not waste my primary yarrow. Well, not that it would be a waste, but you know what I mean. Right. A few squirts from my tiny mister to allow the goo to flow freely. Paint. Goo. I was reading article on Facebook. Apparently there is a hint about halfway through the film The Thing as to who is actually the thing at the end of the film. Part of me wants to watch the film again and investigate thoroughly. Part of me thinks this might just be psy-oppu, so people watch the film again. Would not be surprised. Painting goo goo. Goo goo. Goo goo goo. Paintingu. Oh! Sumimasen. Sumimasen. Stir upper. Delicious. I do like a good crunchy upper. Do you prefer red or green? Paintingu. Paintingu. Do do do. Paintingu. Personally, I think I prefer green. Although I have been known to indulge myself in the red. The difference in taste is quite profound. Paintingu. Goo goo. Goo goo goo. Goo goo goo. This bitch is tilted. Paintingu. Paintingu. It's like I have been using wooden katana versus real katana. Now that I am back using the gouache. Oh, the difference is staggering. Do not get me wronger. Basic acrylics have their price. In the bin! I jest.
And we dream. Each of us dying slowly.
A master never blames his tools. After all, the background, elements of the background are perfectly fine.
In fades, we sleep.
How's the writing?
And we dream.
It's a bit dark, is it not?
Each of us dying slowly. The prison of our minds.
Huh! Sumimasen, sumimasen. It is yet another crappy rainy day today. We have the darkest, most rainy winter ever. Ugh, miserable. You mean the old school thing? Yes, the original thing. With is it a Kurt Russell, I believe? Is that Chad's name? Painting, goo, 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 goo. Painting, goo, 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 goo. Painting, goo, 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 goo. Ah, I miss these tunes. This glorious vibage. Painting, goo, 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 goo. I demand to know who is in my house. I demand it. I demoned it. Order, come to Kirithor. The demons. They wish to impose things upon us. They can try. Painting, goo, 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 goo. Apparently, the coalition of demons, otherwise known as the EU, wish to write it into law that we accept asylum seekers and such. Whilst Poland makes it illegal. Hilarious. It is blatantly obvious that this hive mind of weak, pathetic goonery is hell-bent on destroying all cultural differences in some vain attempt to make us all some sort of grey goo. Just because we live in the grey does not mean we have to become grey. We are not big-headed aliens. Fools. I detest them. May they burn in hell! A bit of brack. Tiny bit. Not too much. Just a bit. A few squirts. Perfect. Right. Time for some shading. If it is not on Prex, I shall add it to it for you after my slave hours have finished. No rush. No rush. Right. Shall slightly darken this. Oh, no. That's not how you darken that color. That is a nice green, though. Painting goo goo. Goo goo. For paint. Painting goo goo. Painting goo goo. Goo goo. For paint. Painting goo goo. Painting goo goo. Painting goo goo. The difference between the gouache and the basic acrylics is profound. With the basic acrylics, you are essentially encouraged to spread it like butter, which is a unique and different painting experience. However, the reason I love the gouache so much, and the watercolor, is you are capable of being so incredibly accurate. You put the color exactly where you want it. I am like Sniper with bitch. It's like, you know what I mean. Twinkle-sama! We have strapped on these tunes for the first time in a long time in honor of your return to the goo. The speed and accuracy at which I can do this, compared to the basic acrylics, is quite profound. However, I am sure, given enough practice with the other acrylics, I would probably be able to do roughly the same thing. But, because of their lack of opacity, when it came to layering and going over certain things, it would not be the same. Goo 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 goo. Painting goo goo. I just realized when I'm in a stream, I never announce I'm leaving, but I always announce back in upon return. I know, it's hilarious. People are like, okay, well, we never knew you refed. Oh, Tueguru-sama, you funny fucker. I have missed your vibe. Painting goo goo goo. Painting goo 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 goo. Painting goo 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 goo. Time to switch bitches.
Oh God, he's coming back! Get out of here!
PEINTEINGU. Painting. Goo goo goo. It's a bit wobbly. Fuck it, I do not care. Painting. Goo goo goo. One of my favorite parts. Paint. Reminds me of Hades from Hercules. My favorite part of the paint. Sudden goo. That's like my favorite part of that movie. Like the fucking... I'm trying to avert a destiny-aligning situation. And the one guy that can prevent it all from crashing down in front of me is sitting right there. And you are wearing his merchandise! And then it just cuts to your man, he's just like... Ah! And then it just... You just see the explosion in the background. Disney's Hercules is one of the best ones. It's so good. It's such a good movie. They made him the ultimate cook, though. I've literally just realized it there, that it came into my head. It's like the dude gives up his godlike abilities to be with a strung out junkie bitch. Megara. like she's a cunt. Like she's like a fucking skinny moody cunt. She's a proper bitch, like. And like like they made Hercules a cook. I literally just realized it there, like. I'd give it all up for her. Oh. Ugh. To think such sentiments used to make young boys like myself be like, so that's what it is to be a man? To make the ultimate sacrifice. In a sense, yes. But the bitch made her own choice. It's like, was it like the, it's like that meme, like, I can fix her, or some shit, like, that's basically what Disney's Hercules is. I can fix her. She literally betrays him! Fucking junkie bitch! What's the matter with you? You never seen a satyr before? Oh, I know that movie backwards, I do. And then there was Achilles. He was the best. Nobody could touch him. But that flashuck of a heel of his. It's some of the best dialogue ever. Like, it's fucking brilliantly written. Oh, have you seen this? That they've totally cancelled Snow White, and that they've essentially blamed its cancelling on that fucking, what's her name, Ziegler, or whatever that fucking cunt's name is. I can't believe that bitch has kids. Like, apparently she has children. The fact that that thing has bred is just an example of how fucked up this timeline is. Like, who the fuck got that yoke pregnant? I think it is pure funny though that they're basically blaming its failure on her. Like, and like, they're not wrong. I was watching that Endymion fella on YouTube, and he made a good point. Like, she did, like, she managed to insult the left and the right at the same time. At least she managed to achieve something impressive. There we go. Much better, much better. Twiggleroo brings much positivity to the goo, and he cares many fishu. They are his sworn enemy. Must be a descendant of Jonah. What, Twiggleroo? Painting goo, goo, goo. I made a comment on I think I mentioned it there like 2 weeks ago or a week ago or something. There's a thing on Instagram and it was about this cop who had been caught he was like feeding shit sandwiches to homeless people or some shit, like real dickhead, like a fucked up dude, like. And they just like sent him to a different precinct. So I just commented, it was like, they just shuffled him around like a Catholic priest. And I'm still getting likes on the comment. That's happened to me a few times. Where I'll put a comment in, and then like, for a month, every day or two, it's like, ding, ding. It's like sitting at like, is it like 50 now or something like? Oh man. There's times where I'm like, I kind of want to blow up a little bit, so I can like influence culture to a degree, or at least just, you know, like have an impact to a point. Like, cause I like sometimes I say shit that's just like, you know, true, but like I'm very like the combination of what I say and then my profile pic with like a really angry green face. I just think it's comical. The way it's just this like, you know, this real stern fucking like, fuck you. Like, you're all degenerate scum. Like, oh, it's hilarious. I can't lie. Sometimes I like being a dick. Now, obviously, me saying that about the copper isn't me being a dick, but like, I remember like a few weeks ago I said something about there was some skinny bitch doing a dance or something, like, you know, she was like so thin it was like horrible looking, and there was all these people being like, oh my god, it's like so artistic and beautiful and stuff and all, like, and I was like, disgusting, eat a sandwich and learn how to dance. And like a load of people liked it. It's comforting knowing that like I'm not the only one that thinks these things, like, you know. But like I know you can make an argument that like a lot of the times I'm like I'm being a bit harsh, like, you know? Sometimes it's needed, you know? Sometimes being harsh is needed. Sometimes harsh realities are the only way we learn. But it was just so like, it was just so blatant, like, disgusting. Eat a sandwich and learn how to dance. Like, it's like, PEINTEINGU. PEINTEINGU. Look, it's just so much better. So much better. Reaps and bounds better. Right. Now for the rest of the shit. Back to this bitch. Be careful not to beat the bitch too much. Otherwise you shake all of the water off of the bitch. I want to drown the bitch, and then beat her slightly. But not too much. PEINTEINGU. I didn't think the gay guys fished. Interesting. Right. Oh, sumimasen. I don't know why, but part of me wants to put a crown on this birdie. Like it's the king of Hungary or some shit. PEINTEINGU. So we have generator, rollerblades, and emotes. So methinks we shall just do rollerblades as if they are vehicles, and then the generator. Desmondu, you said something funny yesterday concerning the rollerblades and the generator. I cannot recall. Can you? PEINTEINGU. Whilst I think about what to do with the generator, I shall insert the rollerblades. Methinks pink ones. Because as we know, all rollerblades are gay. Therefore pink. PEINTEINGU. PEINTEINGU. The pigment in the red is so powerful. I love it, but I also hate it. Sometimes it makes my job more difficult. Okay. here. Like this, like this. We do it like this. Painting goo 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 goo. Painting goo 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 goo. Goo goo goo. Painting goo 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 goo. Goo, 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 goo. Goo, goo, goo. I have a sudden urge to watch The Last Dragon. I love that movie. You must find some dumb guy. But master, I have not attained the last dragon. I actually love that movie. The soundtrack, the overall like theme, it's a class movie. Like, Leroy. Bruce Leroy. Oh man. Back when movies used to just be good for the sake of being good movies. That's what I think is so funny about this controversy and all this like political and dramatic fallout with the game Assassin's Creed. I am speaking female. Assassin's Creed Shadows. Whatever, you know, the whole fallout of it being like a black guy who like never really existed, Yasuke in like Japan and all this shit, like and every, like, you know, like the Japanese were thinking of like fucking straight up like banning it from the country and all this, like, you know, which I think they should have. I don't know if they did, but like if they did, it was the right move. The game is like such an insult in so many ways, but the thing I don't understand is like there's ways of doing like that ad. Like I think I shared something with Stabaru. There's like a Mountain Dew ad where like a black guy goes to a Shaolin temple, and learns the ways of the Shaolin. Like, do you know what I mean? And it's like an ad for Mountain Dew. Like, it's funny, you know, and it's not like culturally inappropriate or like insulting or racist at all. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, there's ways of doing that shit. Like, and sure, like the game Neo, which is like a Souls-like Japanese RPG kind of thing, like hack and slash thing, is based on a guy like it's the Last Samurai storyline. It's like a Welshman who visited Japan during like, what was it, the early industrial era or something, like I can't remember what the timeline is, but it's like they're still using muskets. So it's like still like flintlock era, you know, and like naval combat era. So like gunpowder cannon shit. And it's based in Japan, and a yellow hair. They called him the yellow-haired samurai because he had blonde hair and blue eyes. And there's like there's Irish stuff in that, because there's people who say that he was a Welshman. And then there's people who say that he was an Irishman, and the Irish stuff they put in the game, like as an Irish person playing it, it was like really cool. It was really cool to see a character speak Irish and to have one of the magical fairy things called Saoirse, which means freedom, as far as I know. And she spoke Irish to him. Even though I think he is actually Welsh in the game, which is kind of like, is he Welsh Irish? Is he like half Welsh, half Irish or whatever? Like, But it's like you can do stuff like that. Like you can mix the cultures in a good way. It's just the way that they've been doing it. This whole globalist shit of like they're not mixing the cultures. They're forcing the cultures to adhere to a paradigm that makes no sense and is purely demonic. And in doing so, completely annihilates the individualism of each culture. So it doesn't even blend like. Because when you look at like genetics, like in my humble opinion, I think when you mix, like some of the most beautiful women I've ever seen, like if you look at like Rihanna, she's like Bohemian, which is like historically a mix of like the two, isn't it? You got all these light-skinned bitches or these light-skinned niggas. You see all these like women who are like, think the light-skinned niggas are like gorgeous. And then you see them, like a lot of the football players and stuff, like, and they're really good looking dudes, and the women are really good looking as well. Like, so it's like, that makes sense. You take the best of both worlds and end up with a product that's like really cool, like, you know, and that's not a bad thing. But when it's forced, that's the problem, you know, which like I think that connects into the whole like the Roman Empire and the Gauls and stuff like that, like, and the British Empire and shit. Like, when you colonize through force and you elicit change in any kind of sense through just forcing stuff to change, you destroy it. You destroy pretty much all of it. Like, do you know what I mean? You'll end up with a product, yeah, but like, it's nowhere near as powerful or as potent or as interesting or as good and true as beautiful as it could be if you just like allowed stuff to naturally integrate. Like I've said it multiple times on this stream, we love the Polish. Irish people love Polish people. Like they're very similar to us. Do you know what I mean? Like they love pork. They love stew. They love drinking. They love fighting. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, they're really hard workers. Like, it's so stupid for people to be like, you know, like this bullshit line that I've heard all these politicians over the years, especially the Irish ones. You hear them saying all the same, you know, hive mind dialogue of like, we have a legal and moral obligation. The fuck we do? Says who? We have a legal and moral obligation. No, you fuckers have a contractual obligation because you people are being paid to push this shit. That's what it is. The only fucking obligation any fucking man or woman has to any other man or woman is an obligation to be good. You've an obligation to be good to your fellow man. That's it. This fucking, we've a legal and moral obligation. Fuck off. Look at the amount of white people that have gone to Thailand because they want to learn how to fight. The sheer quantity of white guys that have traveled, like, and all different types of white guys. You got French dudes, you got Danish dudes, you got American dudes, you got English guys, like all these different European white guys, and then American white guys traveling all the way to Thailand just to learn their martial art from where it comes from. Now that's an honorable way of integrating into a culture. You appreciate, it'd be like me going to Japan to learn karate, you know? You'd be like, if I'm going to learn karate, I am going to go to where karate comes from, you know? And like, oos! And like properly, like, do you know what I mean? Instead of going to some bullshit McDojo here, where some fucking fool is like, you want to learn how to, you want to learn karate? It's like, it's so watered down and diluted and fucking packaged and sold to you as a product versus it actually being what it is at its core. This ancestral, you know, fucking handed down through the generations of like ancient knowledge and all this shit. Like there's a reason this stuff survives through the ages, because it fucking works. And perverting these kind of things is, I think, like utter fucking heresy in the truest form.
using some technical jargon.
People think that most, like, you know, forms of heresy is like, oh no, like, you know, don't say Jesus' name and don't take the Lord's name in vain. No, real heresy is perverting people's ancestry. That's fucking blasphemic heresy. Is perverting and, like, uprooting and inverting and, like, straight up insulting people's ancient cultures that have survived for God knows how long because it's good, true, and beautiful. And that's what these fuckers are doing. Like that fucking bullshit I was saying the other day. I couldn't believe it when I seen it, when they were like, oh yeah, the World Economic Forum just fucking plowed through the Amazon for about like 80 miles so that they can hold a meeting about fucking sustainability and green energy. That is so straight up demonic fucking shit. I'm gonna get in my fucking private jet and land in, like, outside the Amazon jungle, and then get, like, in a convoy full of fucking black armored jeeps, and they're gonna take us through a freshly carved swath that, like, just goes straight through one of the, like, most widely known, oldest, most untouched, ancient fucking biospheres in the fucking known realm, the Amazon fucking jungle. And they just carved through it like a bunch of fucking hungry demons to hold a meeting about how they're going to, you know, sustainable energy and green, like, oh, if it wasn't so hilariously ironic, like, you'd want to just, like, fucking pull their teeth out one by one and feed them to them.
What a cop. Excuse me, Your Honor. Anne, ever consider another line of work?
No, I like being a cop. You know what they say. If you can't stand the heat, get out of the kitchen.
Looking good, paint, domo. Guide no bait hook, use lura. What language is that, Margie? You speaking ancient Gallic or some shit? Oh, this bass, this slaps, yo. Oh no, I missed this playlist. We haven't played it in a while. We were saving it for when you came back. That's a lie, I think we played it a few times. It's just, I've got so many other playlists now that we've played a load of different ones. I just can't play really mainstream shit. Like, there was a song that Scouse Bear asked me to put on. What was it? The New Sound of London, and then like Alice. Who the fuck is Alice? And then I didn't just get a copyright strike. The stream actually got shut down, and then I think it happened one other time where I was playing a lot of Austrian Death Machine because I was doing the Coninator painting, and then that got it shut down too. It's some bullshit, like, you know. The cultural appropriation is intentionally offensive, in my opinion. Oh yeah, for sure. Like, don't get me wrong. I know that they know what they're doing. You know what I mean? It's just like, when you're just like observing it and you're just being honest about it, like, you're just like, this is fucking crazy. Like, do you know what I mean? It's like that is what they want. They want you to be agitated because what they want is civil war, and they want civil war because they want the population to be reduced so it's easier to control. Like, I get it. I do get it. But it doesn't stop it from being the most, like, abhorrent behavior like we've seen in fucking centuries. Do you know what I mean? Like, sure, like, babies aren't being thrown to crocodiles. Fucking, like, herbalists aren't being burnt at the stake. But, like, it's almost worse because it's mainly mental, because it's like a psychic attack on all of us. Which, don't get me wrong, part of me thinks it could be China. You know? Like, part of me genuinely thinks that a lot of this stuff could just be China's... Because for decades they were saying that, like, don't wake the sleeping dragon that is China. And it's like, it would make sense to me that the Chinese Communist Party were like, well, why would we bother going to war when we can destroy our enemies from within? Do you know what I mean? Like, that's pure fucking, like, Confucius shit. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, the ultimate way to win a battle is have no battle. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, they're incredibly intelligent in many ways, like, and it wouldn't surprise me at all to learn that, like, the majority of the shit that we've seen is simply political and cultural corruption as a result of, like, infiltration, you know? And they want you to think that it's some kind of, like, biblical evil, you know? Gays don't bait, hook, use lure. Oh man, Margie, I feel like you're really coming into your own in this stream the last few days. Like, you're fucking saying some hilarious shit. Like, do you feel at home in PEINTEINGU, do you? You feel like you can just say whatever the fuck you want to? Because I love that. Guy don't bait, hook, use lure. Oh man, Margie, you're funny. You're fucking funny, Margie. Yeah, I know. Yeah, Barbados. Yeah. Oh, so that's where your missus is from. That's like your missus's lineage comes from there. You have chosen well. Stabro-sama, you have chosen well. Those bitches got the bada boom. I think, like, if I was to, like, list a tier of my favorite cultures, like Jamaican, Caribbean, Bomba Clock. Like, that's one of my favorite. Rastafarian. That's one of my favorite cultures. I love the way they sing and, like, the way they speak, and, like, the dreads and the smoking and like, I fucking love it. It's so cool. It's such an endearing culture for so many reasons. I've always really liked that culture. It always reminds me of King Willy in Predator 2, where he gets into the limo with King Willy and his guys, and, like, the limo's just, like, fucking hotbox to fuck. Like, it's just full of ganja smoke, and he's like, you want to hit it? You want some ganja, man? And he's like, no, thank you, I'm okay. Like. And then King Willy's, like, fucking telling him about, like, what the Predator is and all this, and he's like, I tell you what I believe. Shit happens. It's fucking brilliant, like. Bye, Bruno-sama. Major difference from honoring a culture to robbing it blind. Yeah, definitely. Definitely. Saw that they hard-ored that beautiful place. Which one? I can't remember what I was talking about there. Yeah, there's many places. There's many places that have been, for want of a better term, there's many places that have essentially been raped of their own culture, yeah? That's definitely an accurate description of what has happened to them. It's sickening. It's fucking sickening, like. These blaspheming, arrogant demons that, like, look at other cultures and they're like, such primitive behavior, we should, like, and don't get me wrong, I'm sure there were some cultures, like, you know, like the stories from the Bible or whatever, like Sodom and Gomorrah, or like when the Romans allegedly came across Carthage and they were, like, doing obscene shit that was just like the Romans were like, okay, we're gonna like kill all of these, burn the, like level the place and salt the earth, so like nothing will ever grow here again. Like, but like, who knows if that's true? Like, do you know what I mean? Like, they could have said that about anyone, like. But it at least makes sense where it's like, if one is true, if this is true, then the opposite is probably true as well. Where there's more like I'd put good money on there being cultures throughout human history that were so utterly abhorrent that if you showed up and found these people, you'd be like, oh my god, we need to kill all of these guys. This is just crazy. Like, how the fuck how did this come about? Like, do you know what I mean? And like, there's some cultures, there's some subcultures in India that were like that. Like these guys that eat brains and stuff and all, like, you know, fucking like human shit and all, like, and there's stuff like that almost everywhere. Like, there's guys like that in Africa, Australia, fucking like, I think I've seen like there's in one of the stands in the desert regions, you know, like Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, fucking Afghanistan region, where like, you know, they'll have the Taliban lads that like have like little boys that they have sex with and all this stuff as slaves and shit. Like, there are definitely, without a doubt, some cultural things that should just be completely like annihilated and stricken from the record. Like, you know, well, not necessarily. I don't think you shouldn't like annihilate them to the point that you can't study them, because you should be able to study them so that you know what not to do. Because that's what I believe that we're kind of going through right now, is like, if you're going to get to a point where you can like mentally and spiritually and emotionally survive what we're currently going through, you need to understand it on an intellectual level, and like, in order for that to be possible, it needs to exist, you know. So it's like the biblical, or like the cosmical, the esoteric truth of evil is necessary, because if there was no evil, there would be no good, and if there was no good, there would be no evil. So like, the initially seemingly unfortunate reality of evil is that it is necessary, because you would come across these things and be like, what if there is a benevolent divine creator, why would he or she or whatever allow such things to exist? And the logical answer, I think, is so that you can witness it and process it and know what not to be like, you know, as an example of like, this is what you risk becoming if you do not adhere to God's law. Is basically like, you know, that's what I see that as, is like, the reason why these things exist is because they are essentially lessons, you know. They are like they are a living lesson to be learned from. Oh, I'll stick this on for a bit, because I remember this being really good. But it's like, it's repetitive, but it's fucking good. This is one of those like AI things that goes on for like 10 hours. I really like it though. That's why the Spaniards got rid of the Aztecs. They had a horrible culture. Yeah, like Apocalypto. When the conquistadors with fucking Cortez and all showed up on that's Latin America. You know, like the Mexicans, the Mexican ancestors. They showed up and they were like, why are you pulling people's hearts out of their chest and like eating them alive and like torturing them and shit? Like, what the fuck is going on here? They just went around and like, they had their own, they essentially had their own form of empire, because they had better tech than the other tribes and the other villages, and because of their corrupted elite class, you know, their shamans and stuff that were like using psyops, essentially. Like, Owen's gone, like, over all of this, like, do you know what I mean? It's like, if you know when an eclipse is gonna happen, and if you're a fucking demon, you can use that to convince the people, look, I am in commune with the gods, and we need to sacrifice these lesser people in order for our crops to grow and all this fucking shit. Like, it's some of the darkest fucking sides of, like, mankind that you could even conceive of, like, do you know what I mean? But it makes sense. It does make sense. You know, like, when you, like, if you just use your logic to be like, okay, I see how they did this, and I see why they did this. Is it utterly reprehensible and immoral and all kinds of fucked up? Yes. But in a way, it's genius. Do you know what I mean? Because it's like the same way you would look at some of the shit that, like, Satan or the devil or Lucifer does, and how he tricks mankind into doing certain things, and you're like, you can't help but recognize the vast intellect that one needs to possess to be able to be like, I could do this, and you witness that, and you're like, oh my god, what a fucking, like, what a monster, like, you know what I mean? But, like, at the same time, it's like a perversion of intelligence, you know? You would think that intelligence is like farming, you know? I'm gonna fucking plant all these seeds, and I'm gonna fucking herd all these sheep, and I'm gonna use them for wool, and that allows us to make clothing, and the cows for the milk, and the like, you know, all sorts of shit, like, you know what I mean? But then the opposite polarization of intellect is using your intellect for destruction, you know, and not healthy destruction. Because you could argue that, like, tilling the soil is a form of destruction that leads to growth. But then there's forms of destruction that lead to a void, like a vacuum, you know, just these, like, fucking desolate landscapes of nothingness. Like, it's fucking, it's fascinating and horrifying at the same time. It's one of the reasons why I find deep sea stuff so fucking interesting, because it's like the amount of times that people have found, like, you know, like Atlantis and stuff like that. Not that they found Atlantis or whatever, but you know what I'm talking about, where, like, they're like a mile under sea level, and they find, like, pyramids and, like, stone carvings of, like, you know, half human, half like Egyptian shit, and, like, hieroglyphs, and that's how, like, they found the have you guys ever heard of the Antikythera device that they found off the coast of was it Greece or something? The Antikythera device. When I was in France, Juju's father, who was from Texas, he's a mason. He's the treasury for the masons in whatever region he's from, and he's fucking obsessed with this stuff, particularly the Antikythera device, because it was I think it was a bronze and copper instrument that dates back to, like, thousands of years. Because originally they were like, oh, it looks like the Greeks made this, and they were like, no. There's no way the Greeks made this thing. It had the ability to predict accurately fucking all sorts of celestial bodies, body movement, like fucking eclipses. It could tell you what kind of eclipse was going to happen, when it was going to happen, and, like, it was, like, accurate to the fucking second. And it's like they found it in a boat under the water, and it's like, who the fuck made this thing? How old is it? How do you make something like that? Like, imagine the vast knowledge you would have to even begin to create a device like that. Like, we can't even make something like that now. And, like, that's not the first time something like that has happened. Like, the amount of times that archaeologists or whatever, like, have discovered shit and looked at it and been like, hold on a minute, we can't even do that stuff now. Like you know, when they looked at the pyramids and they were like, how do you get, like Stonehenge, it's like, how do you move rocks that big? Like, what the fuck? Do you use sound and vibration? Do you teleport them? Like, do you levitate them? Like, do you use some kind of like old, unknown, forgotten form of leverage? Like, what the fuck is happening here? Like, you know, and there's people that say they're portals and all this shit. Like, you know, it's fucking crazy. Like, the amount of shit that we are completely fucking ignorant to. And then the amount of shit that, like, so you've got all the stuff that we're just, like, totally ignorant to. And then you've got all the stuff that we've been straight up lied to about. Because the people who discover it are like, oh, fuck, we can't let people know. Because, like, X, Y, and Z would happen, like, you know? And I can see, like, you know, like, same the way Owen has gotten to that conclusion where it's like, I can see the logic in keeping some information hidden, because it's the same reason why you would come across, like, the rings of power in Lord of the Rings. It's like, the last thing you want is someone with an evil heart to hold something this powerful, because they could cause untold destruction. So what do? You hide it, you protect it, you secret it away. Like, think about what Gandalf says. Keep it secret, keep it safe. And what is it? It's the Ring of Power. Like, there's an incredible truth drop there where it's like, there is a reason why some of this has been kept from us. And I've spoken about this before, where, like, I think stuff like Dragon Ball Z, where, like, humans can, like, fly around, shoot lasers, and, like, you know, end planets or whatever, like, I think that used to be our reality, where one man, one individual could become so powerful that he could devastate an entire civilization in an instant at a whim, you know. But now we're living in such a state where almost like the game of life is like more balanced. Like, they've nerfed us, you know? It's like when you're playing a multiplayer game and it's like, here, you can't do anything about that. Like, you know, that's crazy. That's OP. That's overpowered. You know? What are people supposed to do when somebody gets a hold of the tactical nuke? Do you know what I mean? They just win the game. It makes sense that we live in a paradigm now where we've all been nerfed. We've all been, like, downgraded so that the game is more fair. And it's like, the only people who attain, like, high levels of power are the people who put the effort in, learn the fucking shit, seek this shit out, and, like, you know, find it for themselves. And then probably what happens when they do accomplish such a task is they learn the incredible high level of responsibility. Just like the truth drop in Spider-Man, where it's like, with great power comes great responsibility. So it's like, just because you've learned how to throw fireballs doesn't mean you get to go on, you know, national news network and be like, look what I can do, whoof, like, because everybody would lose their fucking minds, you know. So, like, there's a point to it. Like, it's not what we were, it's not what you first learn or first come across with the whole truther shit of, like, oh, the elites are keeping us down, you know, we are the victims of a tyrannical shadow government that's run by pedophiles and demons. It's like, yes, to a degree that is true, you know, but it's not just to keep you down. It's not just to maintain control of a paradigm. It's not just to keep you broke and poor and, like, you know, mentally unwell and disabled and sick and all this stuff. Like, yes, there is that element to it, but it is also to limit the ability of your average dickhead to be able to negatively affect everyone around them. And, like, when you get to that point, you're like, okay, I get it, you know, I get why the game of life is so on a level like confusing and difficult now, because if you look at our supposed history and you take it at face value, it's like, it makes perfect sense. Who would want somebody like, could you imagine somebody like Bill Gates or Fauci could wield like one of those ancient devices like the Vajra, you know, like the fucking that device that like has been seen in all the different mythologies? It's like, it's Thor's hammer, it's Jesus's rod, it's like you know, like by his rod, his staff and the rod and all this shit, like, you know, the ball and the scepter that the Queen of England has to hold and all this fucking shit. Like, throughout the ages, people had these like insanely powerful instruments of destruction that could just like cast lightning on a civilization, and millions of people would die in an instant, like Pompeii times 1,000, where it's like bang and everyone's dead, you know, and there's no fight, there's no debate, there's no nothing. It's just like boom, everybody's vaporized. And in order to prevent shit like that happening time and time again, something changed. And maybe it was Jesus' sacrifice 2,000 years ago that like kind of balanced things or some shit. Like, I don't know, part of me thinks it happened like even way before that, you know, because it's not like, well, I suppose you could argue, I mean, like, Jesus was around the time that like frogs were falling from the sky and the fucking rivers of blood and like a ghostly force moving through the fucking village, taking all the firstborns overnight. Like, do you know what I mean? It's like, and then what, fire raining from the sky and floods and shit. So like, there is biblical and like, you know, historical precedent for like cataclysmic bullshit happening in one day. So it stands to reason that Jesus was like, okay, enough of this shit, you know, like, because it wouldn't surprise me that the Pharisee or whatever they were at the time had access to stuff like that, which is why the Romans were kind of in bed with them, because that would mean that like, because they were in commune with the jinn or the demons, they were able to, you know, use magical devices or magical influences like that could just devastate populations overnight, you know. So it makes sense that like, you know, God or whatever was like, okay, hold on a minute, I need to intervene here or some shit, like, you know. Like, lots, like, when you lay it all out, makes perfect sense. Makes perfect fucking sense. That's crazy. They rebuilt it too, made a working version. Yeah, did you just look it up there? The Antikythera device. Wait, back in again. Yeah, the Antikythera device is when Juju's father told me about it, I was like, this is some heavy fucking piping hot gravy. Out of all the things that I have come across in the truther realm, the Antikythera device is one of the things that I was like, holy fuck, who the fuck built that thing? Like it could literally predict like hundreds or thousands of years in advance exactly when the celestial bodies were going to move and exactly where they were going to move to. And like, I don't know if it could explain why. It's not like there was a manual to it or anything, like, but yeah, they reconstructed it and it works. it literally fucking works, and it's kind of like, what? Like, and it's like, nobody, like, I'd never heard about that. I'd never fucking heard about that. And here we have a Freemason that I just happened to meet because it's Juju's father, and I go over to France, you know, and there's all that kind of like biblical gravy about like all the shit that may or may not have happened in France and stuff. Like, I'm telling you, man, we live in a time that is just like so fucking cool, but at the same time is like, I think we're all playing life on like nightmare difficulty right now. Like, I think all of us that are alive now were born in a time where the difficulty mode of the game is like one of the highest it's ever been, you know, like mentally and spiritually, because it's like it's like you have to piece this puzzle together, and in order to even like find some of the pieces, you have to go through so much shit. But then, you know, like my experience, I haven't done any research. I haven't, like, all I've done is watch YouTube videos and talk to people. So like, and then I've like had dreams and stuff, and like painted things and drawn certain things, and then like connected dots and shit, like, and followed my intuition and stuff. So like, there's a level to which, like, I think some of us are just like on a journey, and we then end up coming across other people that we're like supposed to come across. Like, I think I was supposed to have that conversation with Juju's father. I don't know why, you know. Like, there's been a few times where I've genuinely thought, like, am I supposed to use my art to spread some kind of message? Like, is that my purpose? Is to use my symmetrical images and my fascination with symbology to depict some kind of thing that like triggers something in somebody else? You know, like somebody will see one of my symmetricals and go, hold on a minute, that looks like something I've seen before, and they go look it up in a book, and then they send me an email or something, and they're like, do you realize what you just painted? And I'll be like, what are you talking about? Like I've had thoughts like that where like, cause like sometimes shit like that, like there's been a few times where stuff like that happens where like I do a symmetrical, and it's only ever happened really with the symmetricals, where like it looks very similar to something else, or it has the color profile and general structure of something that looks like something else, and then I end up like looking into it, like I'll like fucking watch a video on YouTube or something, and I'm like, just a bit of information just comes my way, and I'm just like, oh my god. Like that happened to me a few years, like several years ago, where I was just in my room and I was listening to like one of these like truther things, one of these like conspiracy things, and it was talking about Hitler's interest in the occult and the Black Sun cult and all this stuff, and what they were allegedly doing with the Bell formation, where they had these like they had these diagrams and blueprints for these machines that were shaped like bells, and there's ancient machines in the Indian, in the what you call it? What's the thing that the Kali Yuga is in? There's the Bhagavad Gita. The Bhagavad Gita, I think it's called, or one of them, where it's like a collection of all these ancient stories and all these sagas that depict all these like cycles, right? There were these fucking massive, like, city-sized ships. I can't remember what they were called, but they looked like bells. They were shaped like bells that you'd see in a cathedral or a church or something. And like, when you think about how that all connects with sound and what sound is and what it does and the properties of certain sounds and stuff like that and all, like, and these things were like floating cities, and it looks almost identical to the stuff that the Nazis were like trying to like remake or like build, and allegedly these things could, like, you know, like the castle, like the bad guy out of that movie Krull that I've mentioned a few times. So the movie Krull, the bad guy in that, like the demon lord, his, like, the start of the movie, right, is this rock, this massive rock, and it's floating towards Earth, right, and then it lands just in the middle of nowhere, and then every 24 hours it disappears and reappears somewhere else in the realm. And the reason why that's important is because in order for the prince to save the princess, he has to go find the oracle or the wizard who can tell him where it's going to be on a certain day. So like, only the wizard or whatever can like he's got like his eye. He can't. He's blind. Like he's blind, but he can see, and he uses emeralds. He uses emeralds to like see where the fucking the demon lord is going to be, where the dark lord is going to be. And Ireland is called the Emerald Isle, and like there's like loads of ancient fucking mad shit in Ireland, like it's like, man, connecting all these dots, even just like in your head alone, never mind like writing it out. Like, that thing of like Charlie out of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia with the wall, where he's like, dude, and there's like shit everywhere. It's like, it is all connected, all of it, and it just hasn't been presented to us in a way that makes coherent and cohesive sense. But it's there. It's definitely there in its fullness. And like, to me, like the basics of it, like the basic crux of what has happened is like, it's not even that we have collective amnesia. It's just we're ignorant. We're collectively ignorant of our actual history. And as far as we're all concerned, it's like, oh, there's the Indians, and there's the Irish, and there's the Celts, and there's the English, and the fucking Chinese, and the, like, blah blah blah. No, we're all cousins. We're all brothers and sisters under the original creator, like, and we've been like scattered to the four corners of the realm because of some cataclysmic, either like war or kind of conquering in our history or some shit like that. And I wouldn't be surprised if it was like from, like I've said before, like another species that we're totally fucking unaware of. Because we always look at it in the sense of like, it's always one group of humans killing another group of humans. The Romans took out the Gauls or whatever, and like, and a load of other people. But then like the Brits, they had an empire. And it's like throughout our history, and like recent history, it was the Nazis. So we live in a time where we're always blaming ourselves. Like, isn't that fascinating? Where like it's always like it's another group of humans that like subjugated us. It's another group of humans that like did it to us. And I know that's true, but what if that is like a learned thing, where there was a time where like the concept of us fucking with each other to that level was so alien to us that it had to be like ingrained in us? What if there was a time where it was actually another species, another group, another animal, another creature, another organism that fucked us up and then convinced us to keep fucking each other up while they sit back and watch and gain all the benefits and all the resources? Like, I wouldn't be surprised if like if you figured out all this shit and like pieced all the puzzle you got all the pieces of the puzzle and put it all together. The picture you would get is that these supposed gods, are actually a bunch of fucking cunts who like fucked us up like thousands of years ago. You don't believe in aliens? In what sense though? Like, you don't think there's the possibility of like do you mean aliens like from another galaxy far, far away? Because like I would agree with you there, but because space is fake and gay. But I think there's other things out there. I think there's other stuff out there. I don't think we're the apex predator. I think that's a line that's been fed to us. I think there's stuff out there that is way more dangerous than us, way more intelligent, way more ancient, like, older, like. I guess he made us in his image. Doesn't say he didn't make other stuff. But that's the thing, is like, I've said that before, where like, I think it's a possibility that we were made through a process of genetic modification, with like, like I think because that's why the whole we came from monkeys. What if that is actually true to a degree? What if another species that was vastly more intelligent and powerful than us at the time, what if they genetically modified of like a primate to create us so that they could have like, you know, some form of slave or some shit, like, and then sold us this narrative that we were created by a benevolent divine entity that we just so happen to have no physical contact with or knowledge of ever, you know? Because like there is a part of me, there's a part of me that's like, isn't it hilariously convenient that like none of us have ever actually like met or spoken to God, you know? The only people who have ever allegedly like spoken to or conversed with or had a vision from God or the divine are these like spiritual leaders throughout history and stuff, like, because all the like think about it, all the modern alleged prophets or like seers or like what, they're all bullshit. They tend to be these like Indian dudes who are like, you know, fucking like, oh, I'm spiritually connected to the cosmos and all this shit. Like, there's nobody alive now who has a direct connection. We just have books who tell us that there were people who had a direct connection. So like, and those books are apparently written by us, you know. So like, it's, I think it's hilariously convenient, like, you know. I don't think we can leave this planet. Well, it depends on how you look at it. Like, I do think there is a hard, fast barrier. I have a feeling there's a hard, fast barrier, like some kind of like plasma or fluid or like liquid glass or something that like you'll go up and up and up and up and up, and then there's a point where you just stops. I think there is like a firmament. I think there's a firmament. But I don't know if that means that you can't leave. I think it's like kind of like Narnia, like similar to what Owen was saying. Like, I think there are other places, and I think in those other places you could have like other species, other creations and stuff, like, because it's one of the reasons why I don't think that, like, you know, I don't think it has to be one god, like one divine creator. Like, what if a divine creator is a species? And what if there's good ones and bad ones? And there's like loads of creations. And we just so happen to exist in this creation, you know? I guess God may have created similar beings prior to creating us, and their tech and architecture can still be found, but I don't think so. By far the biggest mystery of the world is the timeline, by far. Fuck Space and Planet's time is... Yeah, like, you know, when did it all happen? Totally, yeah. Yeah, like, I'm with you there, like, when you look at this stuff that you can dig up or find underwater, like these, like, you know, like, how ancient are they? Is it a couple of 100 years? Has it only been, like, could you, like, I wouldn't be surprised, man, if it's only been a few 100 years, like, do you know what I mean? Like, wouldn't be surprised at all if, like, that truther stuff about Tartaria, in a sense, is correct, where, like, you look at some of these old photos for, like, around the time of the orphan trains, and, like, them having the, like, supposed, these vast, cities that were, like, you know, built or destroyed overnight and shit, and they've got some of these Roman numerals on them, and they've been, like, edited and shit, where they, like, added 1,000 years onto our calendar to make us think that all of this stuff happened like a long time ago in a galaxy far away, when in reality it didn't happen that long ago at all, and it happened right here. Do you know what I mean? Like, it would, because think about it, like, so much of the stuff that we've been told is like the polar fucking opposite, right? And I'm not saying Star Wars is like told to us like it was real. It's told to us like it's fantasy, obviously. But there's a lot of gravy in that shit, like, where it's like, a lot of what we've been told is like, oh yes, in ancient times, a long time ago, you know, like when gods ruled, like there were giants in those days and all this shit. Like, what if, like, in the grand scheme of things, it was basically like a month ago? Like, do you know what I mean? Like what if in the grand scheme of things, it was like not long ago at all whatsoever? And it's just another line of bullshit that we've been fed by a bunch of psychopathic demons. Wouldn't surprise me at all, like. Wouldn't surprise me in the slightest, man. Sumiu matando. One of the things that I would like to look into is the Rosicrucians. Like, one of the things I came across when I was like watching a load of stuff is that, like, Jesus Christ actually has a bloodline and, like, his descendants are alive today. And there's like just the way that there's secret societies that are dark and evil and are doing all sorts of, like, you know, naughty stuff. There's secret societies that are doing the exact opposite, which makes perfect sense as well, you know, where it's like they fight in the shadows, you know. Painting. Like, the most important battles of our time are fought without our knowledge. Kind of like the Men in Black, you know. If the average person knew that on any given day the forces of darkness could win and plunge our world into, like, absolute fucking chaos, but the forces of good are, like, constantly working against them, and it's this, like, it's this constant back and forth, constant push and pull of these ancient family bloodlines that have been kept secret from, you know, mainstream society for that exact reason. Because it's like, if only you people knew what was actually going on, you wouldn't like, most people wouldn't believe it. Most people would be like, yeah, whatever, yeah, okay, sure. I'm like, yeah, I bet Godzilla's real too. Oh, okay. Have you heard this one yet, 2acre? I'd say you'd like this one. I love this playlist. This is one of my favourite ones we've come across so far. painting goo goo goo. They say, oh, 6 billion because that's how long the erosion would scientifically take. Okay, but it also could have been created that way. Yeah, I know, like, a lot of, like, the whole fucking, like, oh, by this time the fucking coastline's gonna be, like, this far back and all, like, and nothing has fucking changed in God knows how long. Like, it's all bullshit, like. And, like, it took millions of years for a giant ball of fire to, like, cool down and blah, 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 like... like... The amount, like, that's one of the reasons why I really like Dylan Sakoshio's books, is because he refers to, like, kind of, like... That's the reason why I got interested in his work, is because that's the line of thinking that I've always kind of come across as, like, or the line of thinking that I've always had, is... There's a priest class. There is an authorized group of personnel, and you're not in it. So, the way they have manipulated society, like, there's no denying it. There's no denying that there is a class of people that has shifted over time, you know? It's like what Owen says about, it's like, it's not the Jews. You know, conspiracy theorists and truthers, it's like, oh, it's the Jews, because, like, you see that, like loads of Jewish people run Hollywood, and Hollywood makes all of this media, and that influences society. So that's, like, the first rung. That's, like, the first rung on the ladder. And as you ascend the ladder of enlightenment, you get to the point where you're like, oh, okay. So it's like, it's not the Jews. It's like, it's a class of hidden families that, like, have chosen to keep themselves hidden because they know how powerful the knowledge they hold is. Which makes perfect sense, because if you were them looking at greater society, you would be like the ignorant and the profane. Like that Jack Nicholson, you can't handle the truth. Like, it's true. Your average person can't even handle Trump. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, your average person now can't even handle the idea of Trump being president. Could you fucking imagine if they knew half the shit that's probably more than likely true? Fucking melt their brains. They just snap and go insane. Like, yeah, carbon dating. Yeah. I remember learning about that in school. I was like, how? I mean, like, how do they not? Like, what? You just, the machine, like, how do you build a machine that can do that? Like, just don't get it. Like, and that's what, like, they make you think you're stupid because you're like, that doesn't make sense. And then the first thing they tell you is like, well, it doesn't make sense because you're ignorant and stupid. You just, like, you don't understand. You can't comprehend. You don't have the intellect. You haven't been taught. And that's what the priest class is. The priest class is like patting you on the head, being like, oh, ignorant child, you know, you'll learn. It's like the Churchians that turned around to Owen, being like, oh, Owen, like, you're on the path. You will eventually see that you are ignorant and wrong. It's like, only someone who is profoundly arrogant and apathetic would treat somebody like that. If you actually had greater knowledge and you knew something, like, if you know something I don't know, and you love me as a fellow man, you would attempt to explain it to me in a coherent, loving way. But they don't do that. They just go, ignorant child, and you're like, what the fuck? Like, what? That doesn't make any sense. If I had access to this knowledge, I would be shouting it from the fucking rooftops. Well, I wouldn't, because do you know what I mean? It's like, you get to a, like, your gullible, naive, like, the nice guy in you is like, I want people to know, like, you know, people need to know this, like, but then you get to the point where you're like I was talking about, where you're like, oh shit, I can't shout this from the rooftops, because if I do, I could potentially do more damage than I would do good, you know? I wonder if the rockets they send up to the sky are to probe for the doors of heaven so they can try and actually reach it. Yeah, like, and like if you look at certain photos and like recent history and stuff like that, like Owen has spoken about this as well, where what if the rockets are an attempt to because if these people hate God and if these people feel like they're trapped here, because if you were a bunch of fallen angels and you hated being here, that's probably how you would think. What if they're trying to like break the seal? You know, like the hymen on a virgin. You know, they're trying to penetrate God's limitations, because they see God as the enemy. They're like, this place is a prison, this is a construct, and we need to get out of it and all, like. The Grand Canyon could have been cut catastrophically in a very short time, or he just created it as we see it. I believe nothing of timeline science claims. Yeah, I'm with you, man. I don't believe like most of the shit that we've been told. Yeah, like what if the ISS is just, it's not watching down here, it's watching up there. Like that's a very strong possibility that like the satellites and the stuff that they have up there is an attempt to look for a way out. They're looking for a way out, like. There's a book called Hidden Dangers of the Rainbow that, if I remember correctly, goes into great detail about the Rosicrucians. Yeah, like I've heard there's some serious gravy in the Rosicrucian lineage and what they are about. Continental drift, Pangea. God could have made the land and just took his finger and drug things around, creating all the mountains, etc. instantaneously. All their timeline claims and theories are horseshit. Yeah, because when you look at what you can do with sound and vibration, it's totally possible that like isn't there a thing from the Bible, like the walls of Jericho, where like somebody blows a horn and the walls of the city of Jericho just like collapse? You could have a situation where like some kind of cataclysmic sonic boom like just split the earth in an instant. They refuse to believe in creation, so they create what they need to explain. That's all it is. Yeah, basically, yeah. Where are you? I could literally talk about this stuff till I can't, like, till my voice like just went. It's one of the, like, I would love to I'd love to feel like I had the time and the resources to, like, you know, buy a lot of books and research stuff and travel the world and look at ancient structures and shit. And maybe sometime in the future I'll be blessed with such an ability and a chance. Because I can feel it. I can feel it that, like, the answers are there to be found. And there's loads of people all over the internet that have been looking and have found some fascinating shit. Like, I'm telling you, the fucking what was that fucking, I mentioned him a while ago. There was a Christian guy, Kingdom something. He's a Christian dude. Fascinating. He did a series. I think it ended up being 33 videos, which is like hilarious. Kingdom in Context. Yeah. Kingdom in Context. This nigga. Kingdom in Context. This guy's Christian, right? Like, devoutly Christian. And he's the one that did all the research into the Vajras and the bells and the Indian. So, like, even this devout Christian, like, he's been, like, you know, he's been called a blasphemer, a heretic, all this shit. Because even though he still believes in the power of Christ and God the divine and all this shit, he doesn't deny the reality that all the other stuff is, like, totally real and possible too. You know? That, like, there are literal records, ancient books, records that exist that, like, you can just go and look at, and you can inspect all these, like, paintings and murals and hieroglyphs where the same instruments, like that Vajra thing, it's Thor. It's like, he's basically saying that, like, all the different forms of pagan gods, they're all the same, right? So, like, what's his name? Oh, what's the Indian thing? Krishna. You know, Christ, Krishna. You know, so Krishna, Thor, and then there's probably an Irish equivalent. Like, they all had access, and in different depictions throughout history, to something that could wield lightning, and that gave them the ability to fly, right? So it's not that it's undeniable, but it's like, if you look at this shit objectively, it appears like there was almost assuredly a time in our history that we've been lied to about for all sorts of reasons, where what we've been told is myth and legend and fantastical representation of gods and stuff, were actual dudes with actual powers and actual technology that actually did that shit. And, like, Dylan Sicocio's books kind of say the same thing, where, like, except he thinks Jesus is also a pagan amalgamation of previous myths, because he thinks Jesus is a guy called Bacchus, and, like, you know, like, and then you have the Bach saga, like, do you know what I mean? So, like, it would appear, like, do you see the way, like, the last, like, 10 or 15 years, all the franchises, all the movies, all the video games, all the storylines, they're all just rehashes. Oh, we remade the game that we did in 2008. I think that's what they did with our ancient history and myths, is they just repackaged it again and again and again and again. And the people who did this are the shamanistic priest classes who have existed in society since time immemorial. And that is how they control society, is through narrative, through stories. And when you look at what's been happening, like, look at what happened with COVID, look at what's been happening with look at what happened with the Nazis in World War II. The easiest way, for some reason, humans are incredibly susceptible to narrative and storytelling. So it would appear that throughout history, they have basically just taken our actual history, our actual origin story, right, and fucked with it, changed the names, changed the symbols, changed the colors, changed the location, and changed some of the events, right, to suit their narrative, so that they can control the direction of where we go and how we go there. And that includes Jesus Christ, that includes Krishna and the Hindus, that includes Thor and Loki and Odin and the Norse gods. All of them. They're all the same. and they're all a lie. I'm sorry. Like, sure, like, I don't want to like trigger anybody, but like, that's what I believe is there is a singular truth, but nobody that is alive now, like in a like, you know, in a mass sense, like I do think there are people who know what the real shit is, but like, you know, that's the reason they're in control, is because they know the real stuff, you know, and we don't. We are ignorant, we are the profane, we are the unwashed and all this shit, like, you know, we are the unenlightened. There is a group, there are a group of people who know what's actually going on, where we actually come from, why we were made, how we were made, if we were made at all, like what if we just like came into existence? I don't fucking know. What I do know is that it makes sense for all of it to be a form of control. Everything from Jesus to like, because I think that's where the Christians have it wrong in the sense of like, oh, but we have the real story though. It's like that's an incredibly arrogant thing to think. You know, I mean, I'm not calling, like, you know, any of you guys that are Christians, I'm not calling you arrogant. Like, you know, everybody has a belief system. Everybody chooses to believe in something, like, you know. But it's like what that fucking dude, Narco Longo, said. It's like there are systems that are even older than that. You know, that it's like the reason why it's called belief is because you used to be a leaf. Because the reason it's called the family tree is because we used to be connected to nature in a sense where you would be buried under a tree when you died, and you would become the tree, and then your essence would go through the roots into the tree and then into the leaves, and they would take the leaves and they would make a tea and they would drink that tea, and then your memories would disseminate into them, and that's how you passed on knowledge. And when you think about it, that like not only chemically but like materialistically and spiritually makes total fucking sense. That's why, you know, it's probably why, even though Tolkien was a Christian, look at the trees, look at the tree of Gondor, you know, like, and the tree on the book of Lord of the Rings. There's something about trees, there's something about as above, so below, you know, as within, so without. Like, I'm telling you, like, just like the... Like, it makes sense to me that when the Christians turn around and they're like, oh yeah, but like all of you guys are just pagans, like, you know, Jesus is the one true God. I think that is just another lie told to us, so that like in times of stress and difficulty, like I was saying yesterday, I think it makes total sense that the reason why you see this massive resurgence of Christianity in the last couple of years is because stuff is getting so bad. Stuff is getting so bad that everybody's running back to Jesus, being like, save me, Jesus, and Christianity is the one true way and all this stuff, and Jesus is the light and the life and blah blah blah. Like it's too convenient. It's far too convenient. It's too like, not that it doesn't make sense to a degree. Of course, it does to a degree. It makes sense. Like, but at the same time, it doesn't. Like, look at the violent fervor that was like just vomited on Owen Benjamin when he was like, yeah, the Trinity doesn't make any sense. How can you be a Father and Son and a Holy Spirit at the same time? It sounds like two gay guys and a ghost. And all the Christians are like, you fucking heretic, and all this fucking shit. It's like, it makes perfect sense that it's all a construct. All of it. Christianity, Hinduism, paganism, Norse mythology, ancient Gaelic mystics like the Druids and stuff, like Taoism, Buddhism, Shintoism, like all of it is babble. All of it is a derivation, a manipulation of our true origin story, and the reason why that is our reality is because either people like us who came before us who are in control, so it is just humans, you know. Could just be like, it is very possible that it is just a group of very malevolent humans who have rewritten, redone, remade the narrative over and over and over again to maintain control of society. Or, like what I think it's possible that it's actually we've been subjugated a long time ago by another species who are like probably like bigger, stronger and smarter than we are. And like, it's also a possibility that they're smaller, weaker, but more intelligent. There's a strong possibility that that is the reality. That kind of like the grey aliens with the big brains. Like, what if there is an organism, you know, like my parasite theory, you know, that is physically much less competent than a human being, right? With our opposable thumbs and our ability to create, you know, and manipulate our environment and all this shit, like, but in terms of like electromagnetic stimulation and the power of the mind and the ability to control the unseen, it could be incredibly small but incredibly powerful. Ooh, excuse me. Oof. Still apple. Ugh. Yeah, you guys should totally check out Kingdom in Context. I binge watched the shit out of that guy's videos on he goes through the whole story of Babylon, he goes through the whole story of India and the Vajra technology and like those floating cities and stuff, and the Bhagavad Gita and all this stuff. It's fascinating because he comes from the perspective of a devout Christian. That was one of the reasons I found it so fascinating. That's one of the reasons why it made so much sense to me as well. And I know I probably don't have to say this. I more than likely don't have to say this, but I mean no offense, because I know some, like, you know, like Stabber was like a Jehovah's Witness, fucking, you know, Desmondo, as far as I know, like, you're a Christian and shit, like, do you know what I mean? Like, even though you like the Norse shit, like, I have friends who are like big into Odin and stuff, like, do you know what I mean? It's like, I'm not sitting here trying to impose my ideology, like, do you know what I mean? And I'm not saying you guys have done that to me either, because you haven't. But, like, I have no interest in offending people's belief systems. I'm just talking about what I'm thinking about and have thought about and what I'm fascinated by. I will say though, it's like if you simply appeal to logic and you look at things objectively, like, it makes a lot of sense. And like for me, what grants me peace of mind is when something makes sense. That's what grants me peace of mind, is where my mind is like, ah, that makes coherent sense. And like I was saying yesterday, I think that's one of the reasons why a culture like the Romans, when they came across the Gauls and the Celts and stuff, and they were trying to kill all the Druids, and there's like, you ever see the movie there's a Clive Owen, King Arthur, solid movie, Merlin, and like, you know, Merlin and all that shit, like the druidic shit, like when the empire, like throughout history, you have these like the eagle and the empire and the double-headed eagle and these you know, opulent armies of soldiers and stuff, and like you look at the etymology and the language, soul dyers, armies of soul dyers. So their soul has died because they have sold their soul to an army that is controlled by an empire. You know, even the word empire, like a pyre is something that you burn something on, like, you know, like it's like, I think in a sense, in a linguistic like in a, what would you call it, like a what's the term? I think it's with F, isn't it? Figuratively or metaphorically, I don't know. I think Lucifer or Satan or the devil is real, and throughout time he has managed to brainwash man into raising empires to go forth through the realm and crush these tribes and these communities that were adhering to the law of nature or God's law, like the natural law that God created. That makes a lot of sense to me, because I think God's technology isn't like this shit. This shit is of the devil, right? But you guys would probably agree with that. Like, this shit is of the devil, right? The shit that's of God, in my opinion, is what's a good example of just like natural law? Like when you look at, was it the Kalahari Bushmen in the movie The Gods Must Be Crazy, right? Those guys lived in one of the most inhospitable environments as far as other people are concerned. And they had figured out a way to find water in roots that they could dig up in the sand to sustain themselves. They also figured out a way to create a substance that they could put on their arrows, that when they shot an arrow into an animal, it would just like tranquilize it and put it to sleep. So all they had to do was walk after it and then, like, you know, go up to an unconscious animal and kill it and bring it home and eat it. And not only were they that, like, they were good enough that, like, they designed the arrow to just hit the animal and fall out, because all they needed was something to inject the chemical into the creature, right? So our society describes, like, our civilized, modern, you know, technologically advanced society describes the Kalahari Bushman as primitive. I think that's bullshit. I think they're in tune with God and in tune with nature, right? And then, like, we are using the construct of the devil, you know? And it makes more sense to me that the fires of industry and the construct of the devil throughout the ages has used death and force to subjugate the good, true and beautiful throughout the realms. So, like, you just see these vast empires rise and fall because they're constantly trying to wipe out all remnants of the true way to live, which is in harmony with nature. You know, I think that's what I think. I'm not offended in the slightest, and yeah, I consider myself Christian with slight Norse leanings. The Norse stuff's just too cool not to love it, like. I find the parallels between the Bible and the Havamal fascinating. Yeah, well, do it, man. Like, watch Kingdom in context, because the parallels between the Bhagavad Gita and... It's all the same. There's a reason why Krishna sounds a lot like Christ. There's a reason why Thor and Loki seems a lot like the same kind of... like the parallels between Thor and Loki and Cain and Abel. You know? Like the good son and the bad son and all, like, and then you get like was it Jupiter and Zeus? Fucking so Odin was known for transforming himself into different forms, even a woman. There's a legend of Odin transforming into a woman to like have sex with a king to like take his power away or some shit like that. Like so Odin, you know, was like a fucking, you know, metaphysical tranny. And Zeus did the same shit. Zeus was known for, like, that's how he created Hercules and all these different sons, all these different demigods. Was Zeus changed form and descended onto Earth and lay with women and shit, like with mortal women. And apparently Hera was like not pleased every time he did it. It's like, are you shagging humans again?
Who am I? I'm the one who can be 100 different investors all at once. With eToro, I can be Grace, a global tech investor.
Shut the fuck up. Odin is Noah's son. Sorry, not sorry. Yeah, like fucking mad shit. Like the similarities, the connections, the way the dots line up and all. Like, it's fucking like, what the fuck? It's wild, man. But it's fascinating. If you take your ego out of it, like, you know. But you see, like, I have it easy. I have it easy because I wasn't raised. I don't have a connection like that. You know? I don't have, like, any kind of adherence to any of them, which allows me to sift in between them without an ego, you know? But I see, I can understand why people are, like, because, dude, people get pissed off if somebody fucking, like, you remember that conversation, when I was like, oh, Batman would beat Iron Man because once they expend all of their technology, Batman is like, like, as far as just being a human, as like a man, he's like a fucking ninja, and Tony Stark isn't. Ooh. So, like, I said once they expended all of their technology, I think Batman, like, you know, would end up just like putting Tony Stark in a fucking, like, he just end up kicking the shit out of him, like, you know, and just no fucking but he has the unibeam and all this fucking shit. It's the same with Star Wars, it's the same with Lord of the Rings, it's the same with, like, people connect on the ego level to these stories, and that's why they're so powerful. And these fuckers know this, and they've known it for, like, generations. It's kind of crazy how powerful it is, like, do you know what I mean? Because, like, on a level I understand it, like, because, like, I did engage, you know. I was like, oh, I think Batman would be Iron Man, but I'm not sitting here being like, no, I'm right. Like, I just look at it objectively and logically, and I'm like, okay, they're both men, they're not superhuman, they're both using technology, they're both billionaires, they both have access to, like, an insane amount of tech and different kinds of tech, and they're both, like, incredibly intelligent. So if you just, like, logic it out, Batman has flying stuff, Batman has suits designed for taking on various different enemies. Iron Man also has the same. He has various suits. He has like drones and shit. They both have like all sorts of fucking gadgets. So once they expand, like their tech would essentially cancel each other out. Because you could argue that Iron Man's tech, like, you know, his fucking his ion cannons or whatever the fuck they are, like his photon laser things, and his unibeam and stuff, they have a tendency to charge before they fire. They're not like instantaneous. Some of his stuff is like the needle stuff he has, or like the extra armaments he have and stuff, and then some of them is just guns, you know. But like Batman has like insane reflexes, and he's like a fucking ninja and shit, and he has tech, and he a lot of his tech, like the kryptonite gloves or whatever to take on Superman, he counters tech with tech because he's like really intelligent. So he's like, okay, you're gonna do this. He basically uses technology the way he would jujitsu, you know, or judo, like. So it's like, oh, you're gonna fire a missile at me. Well, I'm gonna like put a fake thermal source over here, so the missile tracks over there and misses me. Or I'll use an electromagnetic generator to like force the bullets to go around me or something, like, do you know what I mean? And all this different kind of tech, whether it's fantastical or not. And then once they expend all of their technology against each other, the only thing that remains is them as men. And if you just put Tony Stark in a room with Bruce Wayne's gonna hand Tony Stark his fucking ass to him on a silver platter. And like the amount of people that were like offended like, and like, you know, basically telling me that I'm an idiot and all, like, and fucking I don't know what I'm talking about, and like, how could I say such blasphemy and all. And we're talking about fictional superheroes in a hypothetical fight. How fucking retarded is that? Like, do you know what I mean? It's no different when it comes to religion, because nobody knows. You just believe, you know? There's like sure, like you have all the like the Orthodox Christians and the fucking Jesuits and the Hindus and stuff. It was like, yeah, but we have the records, we have it, all the books are written down. It's like, yeah, by men who are fallible. Do you know what I mean? Like, do you know, like none of the stuff we have is undeniably divine, inarguably divine. None of it. I don't care what anyone says. Like, that's just objectively true. It's books and it's stuff carved in rocks. All of that was done by man. So like, none of the sources we have are a direct connection to the divine. It's like when somebody like Owen, who was like a history major, talks about, no, you need primary and secondary sources of history. You know, somebody's journal, a soldier's diary, like something like that, like propaganda from the time that we're talking about. Like, even if you look at something like the Antikythera device, just because you find it doesn't mean shit. All it does is raise questions. It doesn't answer anything. Like, do you know what I mean? And even when they remade it, they were like, okay, so it can predict this, this, and this. But what does that mean? Like, I fully believe it's all been manipulated. Yeah. But I choose to believe in a divine loving creator. Yeah, same. I think if anything, you could probably argue I'm kind of like a Jedi. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, I have faith. I am a man of faith. And I believe that there is something out there. I believe that there is something unseen that is benevolent in its nature, whether it be a conscious entity or a force. primarily because of the human condition, things we feel and sense, the beauty we see, the way it affects us, the love and sadness we experience. Yeah, totally. That's a really poetic way to put it, man. I see no way that's the result of some randomness or meaningless existence. It can't be. Yeah, completely agree. That's what, like, the question, out of the mouths of babes. And what's the kid, the really annoying kid in the cartoons and the TV shows? Why? Well, because of the, why? Yeah, but why? But why? You know, like, I'm that kid. That's like the fundamental makeup of my personality is like, yeah, but why though? Yeah, but why though? Okay, but like, why though? You know, like, not offended defender. I'm glad you're a person who asks questions and is seeking truth. Yeah, and that's why I respect you guys. Like, do you know what I mean? That's why the bear community is so awesome, because it's like people from all different walks of life, all different belief systems, but you have the ability to be objective. Like, you don't just believe, because like you have to believe in something, you know, but in the same light, you have to use your objective logic. And like, that's what I really appreciate about all the people I've met in the bear community that aren't total psychos, because there's been a few. There's a difference between dogma and faith, you know?
Enjoying Nescafe Gold Blend is about much more than its smooth taste. It's about something...
Shut up. You kicked the hornet's nest good with that one. Comic book nerds are true believers. Like, dude, yeah, like, it was fucking ridiculous. Like, the people, like, you're wrong! How could you be so stupid? And it's like, really, nigga? Like, are you like, what the fuck? Like, one argument I like to use to have fun is say other religions have inferior gods because they need many with a variety of rituals and offerings, and mine is just singular and therefore efficient. Yeah, but here's a counter argument to that, right? So if we look at things from perspective and like an omnipresence, right? If you have one God, then you've only one perspective. Even if he is like all powerful and all seeing and all this shit, he's still a singular consciousness. Even if he can be everywhere all at the same time and blah blah blah, like, you know, it's still just one, right? And if it's only one, then he cannot like observe himself. Which is probably why the Christians created the Trinity and the idea of Jesus, you know, for him to be like, okay, well, I'm gonna incarnate as a man so I can, you know, do this whole thing, like, you know, which makes sense to a degree. But that's why I think, like, the Trinity has a lot of gravy to it, because then when you look at the Celtic Trinity, the three swirls, it's like, do you know what video game has like a lot of fucking gravy in this regard? Is the Darksider series, right? Where if you've never played, if you guys are Christians and you've never played Darksiders, you're fucking missing out, right? Because the four horsemen are like real dudes, right? I think it's like three dudes and a dudette. Fury is female for some reason. So you got war, death, plague, and fury, which it's like not the same as the biblical horsemen, but you have what's called the primordial council, or like the elder council. It's kind of similar to the lore in Mortal Kombat, actually, right? Where you have like small g gods, and then you have the gods, which are like the elder council, like they're like permanent, right? Like that. This is one of the ways that makes the most sense to me, right? When you're talking big G God, like the eternal consciousness, they're permanent. They're permanent. They are immovable, permanent, forever, eternal, right? And then you have stuff below, right below them, or it, or whatever, that are impermanent. They're like technically temporary, where they can like come in and out of existence. They can die and be reborn and so on and so forth. And then you have mortals that like have to die, like they're like totally temporary, you know. So basically there's like these, like, it's very similar to the Christian ideology, where there's seals that upon being broken by some kind of like malevolent force, it causes the apocalypse to happen before it was supposed to happen. So War, because he's the first horseman, he descends to Earth and shows up and he's like, hang on a minute, what the fuck? And mankind is wiped out overnight. Dead, gone, all of them, right? And you show up on Earth as War, and you're faced with all of these demons, and you're like, what the fuck is going on? And then you get blamed for it. Like, you get blamed, like, because everybody witnesses you descend first. The Elder Council summon you to the you know, the primordial cosmos or whatever, and they judge you for preemptively causing the apocalypse. And you're like, it wasn't me. And then your brother Death descends to defend your honor and to prove your innocence. I didn't play the third one. I didn't really vibe with it. The combat wasn't really great, like, but the first two are amazing. The first one is kind of like Zelda, but like rated R. And then the second one you play as Death, and it's like, is really fucking good. Loads of awesome shit in that, like, oh dude, the first two are brilliant. The first two are fucking brilliant. Like, unfortunately, because it was made by that game developer THQ, they didn't really get to finish it. They lost funding and stuff. So there's Darksiders 1, 2, and 3, and 3 didn't really do great. And then after that, they did a game called Darksiders Genesis, I think, which was completely different. It wasn't a third-person action RPG. It was a top-down twin-stick shooter, where one of you played as War and one of you played as Plague or Pestilence or whatever he's called. And he's got like 2 guns or some shit. Like, some people said it was pretty good, but I didn't get into it. But they didn't get to do the fourth one, you know, which like should have been, if they'd have kept going the way they were going. The first one, Darksiders, is like War. Darksiders 2 is Death. Darksiders 3 is Fury, and she's got whips and all. And then Darksiders 4 was supposed to be fucking the fourth guy, Plague or whatever, and he was like supposed to be like an absolute gun nut and all this shit, like, but it unfortunately didn't play out like that. Do Star Wars versus Star Trek next time and see what happens. Yeah, that would be an interesting one, wouldn't it? Because Star Trek does have like gods in it. You know, if you apply the whole Deep Space Nine thing. Well, actually, in the original Star Trek with James Kirk, one of the first things they come across is those lads with the big heads. They have like mastery over illusion and stuff, and they can make you see stuff that's not real and shit. Like, that would probably be powerful enough to contend with the Force from Star Wars. That would be an interesting one. Who would win in a fight? Like, you know, the United Federation of Planets or the Galactic Empire? I don't know now. My mind is like, my money's on Star Trek because like some of those things, man, the Borg. Man, the Borg. If you like, you wanted to fuck up Star Wars, you could just unleash the Borg in the Star Wars universe, and you're like, yeah, deal with that shit. like, fuck me, man. Like, the Borg are wild. Star Trek? You mean space communists? That's why evolution is so stupid, to believe our human nature and emotions evolved out of necessity. How fucking dumb do you gotta be? Yeah, like when you look at the human eye and hummingbirds, like the bombardier beetle that has like 2 different chemicals in its ass that it can mix and spray, turn into an acid. The fact that nobody knows how eels reproduce, like the way whales behave. Like if you've ever watched a documentary on the way whales behave, whales are like legit one of the most interesting organisms on the planet. Like they whales have different languages, they have names. Same with dolphins. They name each other. They play. Well, I suppose, you know, loads of stuff plays, like dogs play. But like they play games. And the whales like save things. Like there's been loads of recordings of like a whale showing up and like saving a person from something. Like whether it's just being lost out at sea or something. Like they're legit like friendly. They have like compassion. Mental. Absolutely mental. Like you could like look at a spider and like the way it weaves a web. The way snakes are made, like they've no arms and legs, but they're like one of the most dangerous things in the fucking animal kingdom. Like you cannot look at any animal in the animal kingdom and go, oh yeah, like chaos could produce that. No fucking way. No fucking way. Even the fact that cats have retractable claws, like the biomechanical intricacies and the sophisticated way that things are designed, like intelligent design is obviously a factor. You do not get that from chaos. What was that thing about, like, if that was true, then what was it, like, if you had like a tornado goes through a fucking scrapyard and a fucking F-16 comes out the other side? Not gonna happen. Do you know what I mean? Not gonna fucking happen. Like,
every inch of my skin deserves love.
Every inch of your brain is smooth, you fucking cunt. Get the fuck off my stream. In which world are attributes necessary? Like, yeah, I mean, like, it's crazy. It's fucking crazy. Yeah, you could pick up Darksiders 1 and 2 mad cheap. Especially you, Stabru, because you work on Steam. But even if it's just on PS4 or something, like, you could pick up Darksiders 1, Darksiders 2, probably even Darksiders 3 now. You could probably pick up a bundle pack, like, and they're so worth your time. They are definitely the first 2. 3, like, personally I didn't jive with it, but a lot of people said they really liked it because it's actually it's got some elements of Dark Souls, which I probably should go back and give it another try. Maybe I'd like it this time. But the first 2 are fucking brilliant. Like, and the art direction in Darksiders is really fucking cool. It's like chunky comic book graphics. It's not cell shaded. There's not like black outline on all of it. Like, but it's like they're really chunky and, like, you know, fucking demonic and cool looking and all. Like, and but like then the angels, like the biblical stuff would really like I can imagine Stabaru playing Darksiders 1 and 2. And like when you meet Samael the Great and all, like, and like you have these conversations with these like biblically, like, semi-accurate biblical demons and stuff, where like you meet these guys and you're like, holy shit. Like, they did a really cool thing with Samael in particular, where I've never, like, you know the way demon wings are typically depicted as like bat wings, or like the same like wings as like a dragon or something. Samael's wings are literally upside down. They're inverted, but they still work. It's really fucking cool. Like, the first time I saw Samael, I was like, that nigga is not to be fucked with. Like, he's huge and like he's fucking jacked, and he's got like runes carved into his flesh and shit and all. He's fucking awesome looking. I see your Borg and raise you one Yuuzhan Vong Empire. Is that from Star Wars? Hold on a sec. I literally don't know what you're talking about. Obviously my Star Wars lore needs a bit of work. The Yuuzhan Vong Empire? Who the fuck are these guys? I've literally never heard of these fuckers. Is this from Clone Wars? Is this like a... This is... Because these aren't in the movies. These guys aren't in the movies. A typical Yuuzhan Vong resembled a human in form, though they were taller and heavier than the average human and had less hair on their heads. Vong War. Oh, is this from like the Knights of the Old Republic? Is this from KOTOR? KOTOR, whatever it's called. Attacks on Imperial holdouts. Ozarian Roman-Mill conflict. Oh yeah, this is like intense Star Wars lore. This has to be KOTOR shit, yeah? Knights of the Old Republic stuff. What are they like? I need to know how dangerous they are. It's called Wikipedia. That's hilarious. Biological classification: sentient. They have black blood. They don't have a connection to the Force, and they have hard skin. They were... hold on. Sentient species that nearly destroyed the New Republic. Oh, okay, so that's why they have a reputation. A nomadic extragalactic sentient species that... They kind of look like the Dark Eldar from Warhammer. Responsible for the deaths of over 300 trillion sentient beings during the invasion of the galaxy. Descended from an ancestral species from the planet Yozantar in the distant galaxy. Religious zealots who viewed mechanical technology as blasphemy. Interesting. I'm not gonna lie, dude, on the face of it, the Borg would probably totally fuck them up. If they see mechanical technology as blasphemy, then they're fucked. The capabilities through organ grafting and stuff like that. Man, my money would be on the Borg. A Borg sphere or a Borg cube would show up and fucking annihilate, like... Your attributes will be assimilated. Like... Powerful 7.7 earthquake hit Myanmar. Death toll rises more than 140. Sent tremors as far as Bangkok. That happened today? Oh my god. No, yeah, look, don't apologize, Margie. That's happening right now? Oh Jesus. And I only mentioned Thailand earlier. That's fucking crazy. don't get me wrong, 140 is nothing. Like, I don't mean to be a prick or anything, but like in the grand scheme of things, 140 people dead is nothing. That's mad though. That's mad the way I was only talking about Thailand earlier and they're after getting an earthquake. God damn. Leave Thailand alone.
I've started working with Uber.
Thailand's awesome. Leave it alone. Bangkok declared disaster area. Seriously. That's wild. Indiana Jones, The Great Circle was full of biblical-esque gravy. Yeah, I can imagine so. I mean, they did that in the movies, like the whole Ark of the Covenant and shit, and you have chosen wisely. And all that jazz. Was that the third one? Was the chalice in the third one or the first one? It was the third one, wasn't it? I can't remember now. The first one is Indiana Jones and the... Oh yeah, and all the Nazis get melted at the end of it by the Ark of the Covenant. Second one is the Temple of Doom with the Om Nam Shibai, and then the fucking Kalima. And then the third one is with Sean Connery. And then the Grail, the Holy Grail. I really liked the third one. I remember really enjoying the third one. Sean Connery's a fucking beast. The Vong were set to happen after episode 6. If Disney weren't at the helm, that would have happened next. Unfortunate. Very unfortunate. Maybe one day, you know. Maybe one day in our time, in our lifetime, we'll see a resurgence of the original Star Wars shit that was supposed to happen. Ooh. Yeah, that's unfortunate. That's very unfortunate about Thailand. But like I said, I mean, 140 people dead in an earthquake that powerful. Like, they got off lightly. Oh, excuse me. Oh. Right, I can't feel my ass anymore. Yeah, I got it, Margie. I just had a look at it there. 117 people. 8 people missing. Oh. Oh. It was a good solid 3-hour goo. Fucking King Birdie here is hilarious looking. I'll finish this one on Monday. I'm gonna leave it there, guys. I need to eat and I'm fucking exhausted. They're still finding dead. Yeah, like, don't get me wrong, I wouldn't be surprised if the death toll rises, like, significantly. But, like, you know, when you're like, oh, earthquake, fucking emergency, breaking news and all, like, I don't think anything will, well, maybe I shouldn't say that, I don't want to fucking manifest that kind of thing, but, like, the last time that, like, it was like, oh shit, like, that's intense, was like, was it Japan, when I got hit by that tsunami. But anyway, right, I'll leave there, guys. My beloved Japonaita, this is the end of today's PEINTEINGU. Much appreciated for sticking around. I really enjoyed the fucking religious shit. I find that stuff fascinating. I hope you guys did too. We'll finish Hungary on Monday. Probably. Who knows? Maybe this painting will turn into a really epic one or something like that. So far it's looking pretty funny. The birdie with the crown on it is looking hilarious. But anyway, I hope you all have a great weekend. Be good, be true, be beautiful. And remember to pay for PEINTEINGU. Or at least like a subscriber and share a PEINTEINGU. Spread PEINTEINGU far and wide like a beautiful butter. Enjoy your weekend. God bless. Much love. Sayonara. Auf Wiedersehen, meine Lieben. And I'll see you Monday.